Every time the Democrats start talking about saving America, the economy tanks, prices rise, and we're supposed to pretend that's some type of compassion. Nah, that's confusion disguised as leadership. And Caitlin Collins calls out Hakeem Jeffries. You guys gotta check this video out.
My lead source tonight is one of those Democrats that the speaker just mentioned, the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries of New York. And thank you, sir, for being here. What's your response to Speaker Johnson saying that he has given up on Democratic leadership, i.e., you?
Well, Mike Johnson hasn't even tried to sit down and negotiate with Democrats during the 29 days that Donald Trump and Republicans have actually shut the government down. And of course, they are completely and totally uninterested in solving or addressing decisively the Republican health care crisis that they've created, including their continued refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, notwithstanding the fact that on November 1st, when open enrollment begins, it's going to be crystal clear to tens of millions of Americans across the country that their premiums, copays, and deductibles are about to dramatically increase.
Would you say that Zohran Mamdani has anything to do with reopening the government for Democrats?
Of course not. It's a silly, unhinged conspiracy theory. The thing that we know to be true about Mike Johnson and House Republicans is that they haven't been given permission by their puppet master, that would be Donald J. Trump, to sit down and have a conversation with Democrats. We've said from the very beginning.
I don't like this guy, Hakeem Jeffries, right? Because he wants to say Donald Trump's a puppet master. You know, that's called leadership to me. The man's got a plan, and you just don't like that he's not taking orders from your club. You know, Donald Trump's doing things his way, and he's doing it the way that's working for Americans that a lot of Americans are agreeing with. That's why he's the president.
That we want to
Man,
reopen the government, that we want to enter into a bipartisan spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people, while at the same time addresses the health care crisis that they've created and are visiting on the American people, which includes, but is not limited to, the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. The fact that hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing all across America, including dozens potentially in Louisiana, the home state of Mike Johnson, and now they're refusing to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, which is going to adversely impact the ability of working-class Americans, everyday Americans, and middle-class Americans to receive their health care or go see a doctor when they need to.
You said that Mike Johnson's not willing to sit down and have a conversation. Y'all did have a phone conversation, I believe you said earlier today. Who initiated that call? Was that you or was that Speaker Johnson?
It was a call from Mike Johnson. It was very brief, and it wasn't a substantive discussion in terms of finding a path forward.
But was he calling to talk about the government shutdown?
I mean, you could say that that was in the ballpark, but, you know, it was a private conversation that will remain private. However, nothing meaningful came out of it, again, because Donald Trump has not given Mike Johnson.
in other words, right? He wants to say we won't meet you halfway unless halfway means our way. That right there is not a negotiation. That's a manipulation, and that's what Hakeem Jeffries is trying to do. They've been doing it for so long. You know, this is so much projection from this side. The only thing they do is project what they want to do to you. They try to control your health care. They try to control your speech, your money, everything. These people want to sit there and make Trump the bad guy. I don't trust this guy. Just look at him. Keep going, man.
Johnson
You should like the
permission
video.
to enter into a bipartisan negotiation. Caitlin, I mean, House Republicans have been literally on vacation for the last 5 weeks. They've canceled votes 5 consecutive weeks in a row. They are uninterested in doing anything other than jamming their partisan Republican spending bill down the throats of the American people. And as Democrats, we've made clear we will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. Period. Full stop.
I ask about y'all's conversation because it sounds like, based on the reporting here at CNN and other outlets that cover you closely on the Hill, that it's a lot of the rank and file members who are trying to have these conversations on next steps here, whether that's in the Senate or even in the House tonight. And some people might look at that and say, should the leaders not be leading on these negotiations and these talks to find some kind of common ground?
Well, from the standpoint of what may emerge from the Senate, as House Democrats, we've consistently said that we will consider anything in good faith that emerges from the Senate, as long as it's, of course, bipartisan in nature and decisively addresses the Republican health care crisis. But we're not going to, continue to go down this road that Republicans have been taking the country since January 20th, which is my way or the highway, because they just want to jam their right-wing ideology down the throats of the American people. We've seen the damage that they've already done in their one big ugly bill, which, by the way, also includes the largest cut to SNAP in American history. They cut $186 billion in nutritional assistance. Literally, these people ripped food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, veterans, women, and families so they could reward their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks and make those tax breaks permanent. And now they're threatening to take those benefits away from 42 million Americans on November 1st.
Well, can I ask you on that? Because that's what Leader Thune was shouting about on the floor today, because a Democrat over in the Senate tried to introduce a bill basically that would just fund SNAP during the government shutdown. We've seen some Republicans who support doing that. And yes, you're right that the Republicans just cut $186 billion from SNAP in the one big beautiful bill. We've talked about that at length with the Republicans on this show. But I wonder, does that comfort the 42 million people, though, who are about to go without SNAP starting in November, who are being denied those benefits while you're fighting for these Obamacare subsidies? The question is, which pain point, is the worst, I guess?
Well, none of this pain that Republicans have inflicted on the American people is acceptable. It's also important to note that the money currently exists within the Trump administration, including $5 billion in a contingency fund specifically for this kind of circumstance to continue providing SNAP benefits to the American people, including 16 million children who might otherwise go hungry if Donald Trump successfully withholds these SNAP benefits. The Trump administration doesn't need Congress to act in order to continue providing nutritional and food assistance to everyday Americans. They're trying to weaponize this issue and cause people to go hungry in the most callous and cruel manner possible.
There it goes, the emotional Olympics, right? They always want to bring up these hungry children. Why don't you stop printing money and fix the system, and feed these hungry children? They want you to sit there and put all this blame on the Republicans. The Republicans are stopping the system right now. They're stopping SNAP benefits. When all he does is have to meet them halfway and agree compromise of some sort. But instead, he wants to sit there and keep saying, Trump's the one that's not doing it. Trump's the one. Come on, man. When are you going to be the bigger person? Like, somebody has to step up on this Democratic side. Let's keep going, guys. Make sure you're liking the video, please. It helps the channel out a lot.
Yeah, but on that front, as you know, what basically they have in their contingency funds is about $5 to $6 billion. It costs about $9 billion for SNAP benefits. So what happens if they do dip into that? I mean, that's still not enough to cover all the benefits.
Well, there's certainly other funding that they have the ability to move around, as we've seen them do throughout the entirety of Donald Trump's presidency. And by the way, this is the same group of people who somehow found $40 billion in order to bail out their right-wing wannabe dictator friend in Argentina, but they can't find a dime in order to make sure that more than 42 million Americans, including more than 1 million veterans and 8 million seniors, don't go hungry because of their callousness. Of course they can find that funding. They are unwilling to, because they want to weaponize hunger as part of their continuing effort to hurt the American people.
Leader Thune's argument today was if Democrats want to fund SNAP, they've had 13 opportunities to do so by just funding the government. That would keep SNAP funded. For Democrats, is there a point, though, where the pain of the shutdown outweighs the fight for the extended Obamacare subsidies, in your view?
Well, we're going to continue to fight on all of the things. And we've said from the very beginning that we want to find a bipartisan path forward to enacting a spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people. And we set out 3 criteria: their health, public safety, and their economic well-being, particularly as it relates to driving down the high cost of living in an environment where Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs haven't gone down in America. Costs have gone up. Inflation moving in the wrong direction. Trump tariffs creating thousands of dollars in additional expense on everyday Americans. Electricity bills through the roof. Housing costs out of control. Child care costs out of control. And now they want to create this health care crisis because of their refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. So we're fighting on all of the things, but anchored in a premise that we have to make life better for working class Americans, everyday Americans, and middle class Americans.
See, the problem isn't that America is divided. They talk about saving democracy, but every time you disagree, you're the enemy and you're the problem. America is just waking up, and that's what's scaring them most. Let me know what you guys think about this quick video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And as always, let me know what you react to. We're out.